I think we're live. We're having fun.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. I gotta see who our attendees are. We have some attendees: Amanda, Jan, and Janet, Kelly. I kind of done this before, so I can kick it off with Long and Don. If you guys don't mind, I'll just kick it off. So guys, welcome to this really cool webinar we're doing with a very special guest, myself included. This is called Making Great Personal Branding Choices, with Don Hobbs and myself. Don, do us a favor, just kind of share a little bit on your background in personal branding for the real estate industry, just so that everyone knows kind of your history with this world called personal branding.
Well, yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate it. Yeah, of course. And I'm going to step back just a wee bit before that, because I started in the speaking world. You mentioned Tony Robbins just a second ago to Long. Tony and I started when I was 18. He was 17. Started with Jim Rohn, so I go way back to the early days of personal development world, and then built a company called Hobbs Advertising, which is when we started building this whole notion of personal branding, personal marketing. And I'm talking about '86. Like, there was nothing. People joined to RE/MAX to have a balloon. They joined Century 21 to wear a gold coat. I mean, literally there was no personal brand. And so we came along and said, hey, listen, the brand of the company doesn't matter. If I don't ask for James or Long by name, then it's not really going to help you. You're part of the great company, but you're broke. And so we started building all of that, the system, the structure, the thought around branding an agent and making them the business. And of course, that was, we were hated by most of the major franchises because, of course, they were spending big bucks to try and get people to join their brand. And we were like, doesn't matter which one. It's your business. It has nothing to do with them. So we built that and had the pleasure through the years of putting about 50,000 people a year through our program. I think we were the largest training company of any kind in real estate at that time. And we were putting we had about 150,000 clients that we built brands for that, were monstrously successful. So yeah, it's been a year or two.
Wow. And by the way, Don, Long, he runs a real estate brokerage called Realty Group. I think you guys are close to 1,000 agents now. And
That's
he's
awesome.
a big believer in personal branding. So
yeah, as an independent brokerage, nowadays, Don, you probably know, I think last I saw 52 or 53% of all real estate agents are with independents. And, one thing that we do recruiting when it comes to branding, we tell people all the time, you're in the people business. People work with people they like and trust. So it's personal branding that's important, not the company. They'll tell you that so they can keep your money and justify for it. But at the end of the day, people might recognize the company name, but that's not why you win or lose a deal.
I love that, man. You're just like, bam, bam, bam. That's exactly right. Love it, Lon.
It's really cool that he shares that same belief. And, I as well, I didn't get the chance to build a company that worked with 150,000 agents yet, but, I've personally worked on over 700 personal brands, top teams, a lot of independent brokerages, helping them develop we'll talk about it in the 5 pillars we're going to go over, but develop the actual brand, the story, the visual architecture, all the way to all of their consistent channels, from their website to social media and email marketing. So one thing that I always say is, I didn't make any of this stuff up myself. I learned it from someone else that was smarter than me or had more experience than me. And then it became a survey of working with so many successful people, and they share little tidbits with me, and I've gotten to take that and kind of re-offer it to our clients that we work with now at MAXA. And so it's been a really great, I love that my whole career has been in pretty much real estate personal branding.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, James, I just want to give you a shout out, because if people don't know you, I mean, when we got a chance to meet, obviously it was exciting for both of us, but I was amazed, and I was like, this guy is MAXA is so cutting edge, and what you guys are building is so phenomenal. So anybody that does not know you needs to, but I think you are absolutely the one that's on the edge of everything personal branding these days. And I'm super excited when we got a chance to pull this together, because having you and I work together like this is pretty ominous.
Yeah, it's so cool. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about really, Don and I got together and started to discuss what are the pillars to personal branding success. And we wanted to give you guys a model that you can look at when you develop your own brand for your team, your brokerage, your personal, yourself. And then we thought it would be cool for some of the participants and the people, the viewers to actually say, hey, look at my brand, look at what I've been doing, and give me some feedback. But we wanted to be able to give you constructive feedback based on a model that we've found to be successful for a lot of other producers. And then we're going to open it up to a Q&A, and you can just ask Don, Mr. Iconic brand developer questions, ask Long, ask myself questions, and again, focusing on personal branding, which I think is getting more and more popular. Like even this year, I'm noticing it being really popular. So we're going to kick it off with the first pillar, which is story and the target, which is what we wrote. And I'm going to let Don kick it off because I'll say some things about it, but most real estate agents start their career just looking for business anywhere. Their cousins, their neighbors, anywhere. Yeah. But when you start to commit to a personal brand, you have to commit to a target audience or a target community. And so say more about that, Don, like what you mean when you said the first thing that they should always think about is the target.
Well, let's step into what you just said, because most agents aren't building a business. They're looking for the next deal, and they'll wake up, 10 years later, still looking for the next deal because they never built a brand. And I've always believed, unless it's marketing based, unless it's brand based, it isn't a business. It's a sales career. It's good. You can make money, but it's never going to be as big as when you build that brand. And so literally the first thing is, it's like people are running out to go learn social media. They want to learn Facebook. They want to learn whatever. And they get this little piece. What's the magic postcard? What's the magic whatever? But it's not that. It's like, what's the target you're going for? And then what's the story? Because, in any medium today, we keep talking about the authenticity, tell your story, make it personal. Well, that's what personal branding and personal marketing has been about, right? Forever. But we're just starting to understand that the story is what's relatable. It's not just, slam bam. I've been top realtor for 12 years. I'm a top negotiator. It's like that intimidates the crap out of people. It's like, that's not where it's really at. It's more about how do I link to you and go, I really like this guy. I really like this gal. She's awesome. And, if they know you, like you, and trust you, there's an excellent chance they're going to do business with you. And that's really where it starts. So the target becomes the first decision, James, my opinion. And then from there, we start telling which authentic story, about me is it that's going to relate to that group, right? To that target.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a mom or a dad. I own pets. I love a certain sport. I've got certain activities. Which of those stories is going to make the difference where people go, oh, I really relate to him, or like what he's saying, or, what videos you're going to shoot. All that stuff's related to the target and then the story.
Yeah. And I think about it too. It should be very personal, but it also, your story should be very validating in itself. And what I mean by that is like, gosh, I lost it. So shoot, I lost it. Okay. Let me go back to a target for a second. Cause I've seen so many different agents go after different targets. So maybe your target is new developments and you really want to focus your brand on new developments. Or maybe your focus is on the older generation who need to let go of their big family home and downsize. And you start to build a brand around, the older generation downsizing. Or maybe your business is built around one neighborhood. We have a really great client. They're named Jerry Shea, based in Los Angeles, who he has one neighborhood, pretty much like 4 streets inside of LA. For some reason though, they're all like 1 to 2 million in value, or sometimes they're 4 million. But he only does like 300 homes, and that's his only community. And he talks about how much he's from that community and how he sells everything for that community. So you have to figure out your target, which is who you're going after, and then your story. And look, the biggest thing, I would say to flip the traditional model, which is like, we want to be available for everyone. We don't want to scare away the high end and then also go after the low end. Pick a target. And then if the other ones come in, that's great. But like, for example, my focus is working with the real estate and lending industry, but we also are on retainer with an airline here in LA. But I'm not marketing that. But you'll pick those up. So if you pick a target, you can kind of build value for that target, and then look for ways to validate yourself inside of that target. I actually want to show you an example. This is one of our clients. I really like what they've done. They're called Arizona AZ Home. So they're one of the, they're an independent brokerage based in Arizona. And when you scroll down to their site, you're going to see a couple of things how they brand their story. Launch Real Estate is home to the sharpest, most experienced and preeminent realtors in Arizona. And they do a really good job showcasing a lot of their agents. And then they go, we offer the highest level of representation to our home buyers, investors, developers, through an extensive network, up-to-date database of launch agents know the exceptional properties in the most sought-after neighborhoods. Now, one thing that they don't talk about in they begin to brand better than best, exceptional. We've set very high standards for our agents to ensure only the highest quality real estate experience for our buyer and seller. One thing that they talk about is they are a brokerage that is invite only. So, and you have to have a certain production per year to join their company. Now, this is their story, right? Long has a completely different story that he provides through his brand, his company. But what's neat is everyone should take the time. You should spend hours and hours developing your value proposition, all the little things. So, for example, Compass has the things that they provide. KW has the things that they provide. EXP has their things. But as a realtor or as a team or as a brokerage, you need to think about what are the bullet point big things you guys provide that validate your story, which is catered to a particular target. So
hey James, so let me step in real quick, and I know we've only got a certain time that we want to spend on this. When you talk about that, I see that company and it's awesome, it's beautiful, it's fantastic, and the culture, the things they stand for, really obvious. So how do we do that as an agent? And one of the things that I would tell you, everybody, guys, gals, you got to get this, where you're thinking about, am I going to specialize in like types of people, types of real estate, where's my niche going to be, right? Because on the types of real estate you mentioned a few, but let's talk about condos and lakefront and ocean view. And, it's like there's a gazillion of those things. And then on the other side, you've got what kind of people. It's like, think about how people group themselves, because people don't group themselves as buyers and sellers and FSBOs and expired. They don't do that. That's what realtors do. They view themselves as, a certain occupation. I'm an attorney. They view themselves as I'm a cyclist. I'm a runner. Like they group themselves in that. So literally we can tell a story that's going to attract people to us that are the people we want to hang with if we understand who they are and what the story is that needs to get told to bring them our direction. And that's what, to me, James, that's what marketing is all about. How do we get them calling you? How do we get them seeking you out? How do we get them coming your way, right?
100%.
Do you have Don, you have a formula how to tell a story? Like the steps, like for example, right, in the people business, I always think it's, the culture code is important to us here. The 3 reasons why people want to be with somebody or work with you. 1 is they want to feel safe. When they come to you, they're going to take care of them, going to take advantage of them. Right. 2 is they want to feel connected to you, which is the way you tell the story, that they feel connected. And 3 is it's a shared future, a shared vision that you're going to help take them to where they need to go. So what's a formula to tell a story of somebody?
Yeah, I will say that, I went through James' process, by the way, working with his company, because we built a brand for our group. And it's, it's pretty complex. And I will say that it's not as easy as people want. I mean, James, you said it, you're going to spend hours on this, right? It's like, this is a deep dive. This is an hours thing. This is a days thing. This is a thinking it through and ripping it up and starting over and really going through. But I think it comes down to, again, let's first figure out the target. The story starts to evolve because there's many parts of me, as James, you and I talked about. the authentic me can come out a lot of different ways, right? It's really me, but it's which target am I telling the me story about, right? Where people are going to link to it. And so, Long, I don't think it's a simple answer, but I think you got to start with, your values. You got to start with your history. There's lessons that we've learned along life. There's all kinds of things. When I look at most people's story, go to a website and you go to the agent's story, and it's like, hey, I've been a realtor 12 years and I'm really good at what I do and I love my clients. I mean, there's no story there, right? There's nothing that hooks me. There's nothing that says, wow, I really like him.
Let me show a way to help you guys out a little bit too. So Jay Shetty, a lot of you guys have heard of him. He's super famous, kind of spiritual guru, personal development guy. And when you go to his website, he does such a great job telling his story. So one of the ways he tells his story is how he helps, right? He breaks it down very clean. Here's 5 ways I help. Our podcast, the #1 health podcast in the world with millions of listeners. Here's our book, Think Like a Monk. So that's like, you kind of get the idea of transforming your life, understanding practical tools. He's a coach, so he's got his life, long, it's like meditations and exclusive workshops. And then he's got his courses. And then when you scroll down, you'll see he's got his guests, which is really cool. But then you'll see he actually tells his story in a very unique way. I was born in London, and he goes in very subtle, but it's a creative way to share. Here's his 4 things, right? Best-selling author, podcast host, former monk, and purpose coach. And then he goes into his, a lot of people do a victory over the past as their layout for their story. So that's one way you could do it. So here's his past where he suffered, rejected by 4 companies, dissatisfied, broke. And then he decided to become a monk, and learning about being a monk, that's where he learned how to evolve. So that's that's one way to do it. A lot of people do a victory over past story. But one thing I would recommend to everyone listening is go look at all the top producers, go look at the top teams' websites, go look at how they're creating their story, and start to use them to take pieces. Because there is one thing you don't want to do is say, well, actually, Brendan Bouchard, so a lot of you guys know him. Don's his neighbor, or you guys live in Puerto Rico together. And he gave us, I was at one of his webinars, his seminars, and he gave us a sheet that's here's fill in the blanks, and this is how you tell your personal brand story. And then I was like, well, if 5,000 realtors all tell the same story, then it's not personal. It's not personal anymore. It's generic.
Right.
So you want to take your time and look at what they're doing and start to create your own. One thing I would like to say as well is think about a photographer or a really good movie that you watched at the theaters. One of the best things about a great photo or a great movie or a great book is the story. The story can either be extremely engaging and super cool, or it's just kind of a basic, boring story. And your goal when you're building a personal brand is to keep evolving and iterating and improving your story. So my story has changed from 2012 to now, but it's also been kind of consistent. I used to call myself a tech evangelist, but I didn't even know what that meant back then. I just thought it sounded cool, So you can iterate, improve your story, but try to get it like an art, like a masterpiece of your story.
So what I'm learning from based on what you guys saying is, first of all, right, as humans, I think there's 3 ways we learn. One is by imitation, considered to be the easiest, right?
Right.
You can do it, like you said, go watch a bunch of top producers and imitate them.
Yeah.
In school, it's called cheating. In life, it's called sharing, And then the second way is considered the hardest, by experience. Actually go through it and try to do it yourself. But the third way is the most noble, is by reflection. So what I'm getting from this reflection is that I'm not going to even try to do this stuff. I'm just going to hire Don or James to help me do this. So that's what I get out of this. Don't even try to think of it and do it in 1 hour and think you got the whole story told.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks, Long. I appreciate that.
That's true.
We used to put people through a 3-day seminar and go, hey, we gave you everything, but if you're smart, you're going to know you still can't do it.
Yeah.
If you're really clever, you're going to figure out you can't do this. It's hard. It's hard to be objective about your stuff. You can't see yourself as others see you. Somebody's going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's absolutely true.
Hopefully through the end of this webinar, you can at least have a new framework, new model, so that you can direct the people you hire to help you with this, right? So let's move into number 2, because I also want to get into some reviewing. It'll be kind of fun. So let's talk about systems and continuity. So I chose the word system, and then Don chose the word continuity, which is, in our opinion, and what we've seen in the real estate industry is realtors teams are really bad at staying having continuity with their brand and what they produce and what they put out. They use different designers, different writers. Everyone's kind of like, oh, I'll have this web developer do this, and I'll have this person do this listing presentation, and you're kind of just pulling things from left and right, and it's all mismatched and really not. It ruins the story. It really breaks up the story that you're trying to tell, and the story should be told in written form. And then with imagery, like your photo shoot, your headshots, your team shots, but also the design of everything that you produce. So your business cards, your collateral, your listing presentations, your website, everything should be this one continual story that all reflects each other. And what do you have to say about that, Don?
Well, you're right on. I mean, it's exactly right. It's that, the challenge for most agents is, they'll think of pieces. I haven't sent anything out. I got to do a social media post. They've got breakfast that they show. They've got like all these different pieces and parts, but nothing looks the same. So if I see that realtor stuff, it's like, it's never, oh, it's him again, or it's her again. It's, oh, a realtor. Oh, a realtor. Oh, a realtor. Oh, a realtor. It's like, there's no, so the real disadvantage to not having that system and that continuity of all your things, James, is that you're spending the same money, only you're getting no long-term play. You're building nothing for the long haul. You've got no real brand value building because you've built no brand. You're just doing marketing pieces and sending out stuff and doing your posts, and you're doing activities, but you're not going to get the same result. It won't multiply itself. It won't get bigger next year than this year, and bigger the year after the next year. It won't have that building impact. Brand builds. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 100%. I found that so many top producers that, especially in Los Angeles, where it's so competitive and everything's modern and luxury, the agents and the teams who are obsessed with their brand are the ones that don't have to work so hard to gain business, because they've just built equity in their brand, and they are continuously looking at how, everything they put out, whether it's their property flyers or it's when you go to their website, or you look at their email newsletters, everything is one solution. It's one system. And when I click from your email newsletter to your website, or to look at your YouTube channel or Facebook page, it's all very nice looking, very consistent to each other.
Yeah. I'll add one little piece to that same thing, because ultimately, there's a guy in Austin, Allison. I just moved from Austin, where we've been for the last 6 years. But there was a guy there that's really famous. He's really huge. I'm sure Tristan knows him. Long, you probably do. Big time realtor, recognized as one of the leaders. 2.5 years ago, I had a discussion with him. I said, "Dude, I'm so conscious of brand. I'm so conscious of real estate. I'm like, my RAS is totally tuned into everything real estate signs, open houses, real estate companies. I see everything real estate, because I've been in this industry for like 4 decades. And I said, I've never seen one of your signs. I know you're huge, but I've never seen a sign. And the reason is because," and he said, well, like, what does that mean? I said, it means you're working way harder, because your business is spread so far out, and you've got people pounding the phones to get your business, which doesn't build anything. And there's no place that you have a stronghold that begins to build out into something larger. And I said, you're probably making half the money and spending twice as much as you should. Like, that's just the reality. So these guys that really have got, and of course it's always hard working with a big producer, because they're like, You're trying to tell me I'm like a big producer. And I'm like, I know that, but you're still making huge mistakes that are costing you millions. It costs somebody else like thousands. It costs you millions.
Yeah. I see that a lot. I mean, I think success is the biggest enemy of growth. When you're doing well, you don't think of this stuff you just share with them. He's probably thinking, I'm doing pretty dang good. What are you talking about? You know? And
yeah, of course.
Lost opportunities.
Yeah. And what's crazy is if you are successful and you haven't spent much time on your brand, now's the time, because you can probably invest. You have the budget to invest into it. Yeah. And, you know, again, I think as realtors are learning through the culture of our industry is as you become more successful, typically you want to move into building a team. Or if you have a team, you want to grow a bigger team. And the thing about a team is like, well, what's the brand that's going to attract people to join your team? You know, you have to spend time with the, you know, like I have a new client. He just his team right now does like, oh my gosh, like 250 million a year, just with him and his like 20 agents. And he's leaving to start his own thing, his own brokerage. And, you know, one of his things that he's excited about is that he's going to create a new model where there's going to be a profit sharing program inside of his team. And that's going to be part of his story, part of the brand that other agents are attracted to. And we've got another guy who he's in California, and he has some type of relationship with a lead gen company where he has so many leads. And they're doing about I'm like, I swear, last I heard, they're doing about 100 million a month, and he's got about 30 agents. One of his stories is, you know, providing quality leads and a system to convert them. And again, whatever it is that you guys are sharing as the value proposition is built into your story, which is part of your brand. And I just feel that I spend a lot of time with agents who don't even think about it. They're not thinking about their value proposition and then sharing it consistently over time so that it becomes cemented into their reputation.
No, you're right on. You're right on.
So then let's move into media, to our third section, which is a media plan. And Don, you kind of talked about it a little bit, where you got agents just send one postcard a year, or, you know, they think they have to do it. And so there's really no plan to the brand. And go ahead.
No, you're right on. And the thing is that most people just constantly are looking for, you know, hey, I don't have any business. What shall I do now? And that's where they come from. So there is no plan wrong. It's right. It's a reaction. So there's no like, let's get together and build the plan for 2021. You know, let's build the plan for the last of the year. Let's move into momentum and get a lot of business for next year rolling. Let's create the plan. How often, how much, what pieces, you know, all that stuff. And again, if you look really at the target, and then so I always think in terms of like target strategy, how do I get to those people? Then medium or tools, or, you know, you talk about, you know, the deliverables, your extra things, your ancillary tools, your postcards, your whatever's, your social media, those are all media, right? That's all media. How often, how much, which pieces go? And I think people really need to look at a mix, and depending upon their target market and what their budgets are and all of that stuff, it's going to dictate all of it. Yeah. So I think we have to just figure out what it looks like to really bring it. But I can tell you this, the one thing that you just said it, you know, they send out one postcard, save your money. Like you just wasted that money. So yeah, save it. I mean, when you got a war chest or you got enough, and, you know, again, I've always said, if you're kind of underfunded in business, it's a huge disadvantage. But again, social media today makes marketing. James, you and I talked about this. Marketing is cheaper today than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The options are way bigger, right? So just come up with a plan for what you're going to do on a consistent basis. Put the theme behind it and make that really rock.
Yeah. I'll even make
what you're saying though is most people got to also think that they're running a business too. Of course, branding is a big part of it, right? For marketing, because I don't care how good your business, your service, your product is. If you don't market it, people don't know about you. They're not going to use you anyway. So right. I think first people need to know that they're the CEO of the company. They have to have a business plan. And a big part of it is what you just talked about, This is actual plan that you have to plan out. Proactively, not reactively do stuff.
100%. I'll say, I'm going to make it easier for some of you guys too, because sometimes we always go, I personally am very philosophy based, but sometimes I need to get more technical when I'm doing some talks. So here's write this down. Like, you should do something about your business on your social media every day. Just commit to one thing a day. Whether you're congratulating a client on a success, whether you're talking about real estate tips, you're talking about rates, you're talking about new listings in your community, open houses coming up this week, what's happening in your neighborhood, local business highlight. Like, it doesn't matter. Just do one thing a day on your social media so that people start to know you're an active agent and you're within your friends, family, community. Number two, I would say if you're too busy or you're not a great writer or designer, like, commit to doing at least one email newsletter to your database a month. I mean, I would recommend once a week or once every 2 weeks, but if you can't get to that, do it once a month. And in that newsletter, you should show off client successes that you've helped and helped. You should show market updates of new listings in the area. And then you should show something about, do a spotlight on new businesses, real estate tips, staging tips, anything, or maybe it's a story that has to do with your own story. So maybe you're part of your brand is you love dogs. And then there's like a highlight at the end of the newsletter that talks about a story about a new dog or someone's dog. You can be creative with that, but just do it once a month, commit to it, put it in your calendar. Like, I would just book out time to do a social media post every day, just one thing every day, do something for email newsletters. And then now the social media can live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, which is already pretty good. As you get better and you read more and study more, you'll learn that there's a lot more tactics to online marketing. But then maybe have another channel. Maybe your channel is doing just a Instagram or FaceTime live, where you're just talking about the market, some type of different channel that you can use to share your story. And the best thing you can do, my biggest advice, is create all the content. Let's say you have like a post every day, an email newsletter, maybe some video blogs or YouTube things you're going to upload. Do it all a month ahead of time. So that means don't post anything this month. Say in October, don't post anything in October. This is my advice. I don't know if Don would advise this, but create everything in October for November, and then start publishing in November while you create content in November for December. That way, you're always 1 month ahead of yourself. You're never too busy to catch up. You're preparing it. You're saving it all to your docs and wherever you store it. And then you're a month ahead of yourself. Every month, you already know what you're going to post. You already know what date you're going to launch your newsletter. You already know what day you're going to upload your videos to Facebook or YouTube. That way, it's 1 month. You have a 1 month media plan ahead of yourself all the time.
Whoa. Who would let the dogs out? So, yeah, I think that's exactly right on, James. I think the best part of that whole thing is it allows you to plan, allows you to really think through the strategy of what you're going to do, allows you, batching videos all in one day. I'm going to shoot 6 videos today. I mean, there's so many things you can do that way that if you wait till the last second, you're never going to get this stuff out. So I think you're right on. Just make that plan, get ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really the execution side too, is like being consistent with your execution.
Yeah.
Consistently create the media that tells your story, which again, some people, here's the big thing too. Some people don't like creating content because it's not them. They're more like a people person, or they want to be on the field and they want to be on the phone or in, things like that. But the biggest philosophy, context shift, perspective shift to have about creating media for your brand is you can only talk to one person at a time, but your brand video or that social media post can reach thousands of people at the same time. It's ultimate leverage for selling yourself. And so you could either spend an hour with one client trying to pitch them on working with you, or you can spend an hour creating content that you can post, and it reaches 100 or 1,000 people, and one of them decide to work with you. So that's the perspective shift, is leveraging yourself through media and building your personal brand that attracts them to work with you versus trying to sell someone one by one without the media. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Put that in your calendar as content creation. Give yourself a block of time so you can get creative, you can think, and then start putting stuff together, right? It should be on your calendar with your time blocks for sure.
Hey, Don, for some people, they're not very creative. They don't think they are. What's some suggestion for them to come up with contents and be creative?
Well, you know, it's funny. James and I were talking earlier. I forget what it was regarding, but it's somebody said it's like in school, or you said it. It's like in school they call it cheating. Here we call it, right? And you know, honestly, hacking. You know, our friend Russell Brunson talks about hacking, right? It's like you go find content that's out there, and you go, how would I change that to be mine? How would I get inspired by everything that people are doing, and go, I'd have my version of that. I got my own. I don't need to copy it. I don't need to steal it. I just need to get inspired. I know what to say. I just don't have the idea.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, studying what other top agents are doing. I mean, James was talking about, you know, kind of going through websites. I mean, we're kind of hacking them, right? You're going, I like that. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to, you know, take that element. I like that. But I think, you know, for video especially, it's like how many new ideas is there going to be? And the answer is not that many. What do we need? Enough ideas to put ourselves out there in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Hate to say hack it, but it's just the simplest way to go, right? For most non-creative people.
One way you could do it, it's kind of like really comprehensive, is you could go out, look at the top people that inspire you, the top realtors, top teams, look at what everyone's doing. Some people's posting a lot about the market. Some people talk about the community, and some people talk about their story and how it relates to their community. Whatever it is, you can pick like 3 or 5 themes that you're going to post about, like themes that you'll stay consistent to, and then just create content for those things and how it relates to your business. That's a big piece. I really want to show you guys some other brands real quick while we, like for example, this is a really amazing.
She rocks.
She rocks. She's, you know, Tristan didn't even know about her until I showed him. But like, she has done a great job with the imagery she chose, the photography chose, and then now watch, she goes right into her personal brand. I'm Marie. I'm an entrepreneur, writer, philanthropist, and an unshakable optimist dedicated to helping you become the person you want to be. Like, there's her story with a nice photo, very well placed so that people understand what she's all about. Her podcast comes up, How to Get Anything You Want. So again, she's all about empowering people, or women specifically. Her target is all women. I mean, again, last I heard, she has her online business is like just killing it, you know. But then she goes into her TV show. That's an area that she places media to tell her story. She's a really funny person, you know. She goes
James.
Success stories, yeah.
James, you know, I've been inspired by her stuff. Allison's been following her for years. You know, I'm going to recommend Tony Robbins' old friend. I'm going to recommend highly. You can't probably from the computer, but I'm going to ask our viewers, go find Allison Gaddy on Instagram, and you watch the execution of some of this kind of stuff. Watch how well she's playing that out. Because again, how does a realtor do this? This is celebrity. This is like big. But how did she get big? She played it out, and she started putting things in a way that made people go, wow, I really like her style. I like who she is. I like what she stands for. I like what she represents. That's what your brand is.
Right.
So
You type into the chat how to spell her name correctly?
Yeah. Marie, and then Forleo, Forleo. She's got a great, very consistent blog, very consistent TV show, or YouTube channel, and a very consistent podcast to build her personal brand. Now, you don't have to go that crazy. And I still think mailings and consistent postcards is a very successful strategy to tell your story. You have to pick your channel and then be consistent with it and look for ways to advertise it and get it in front of more people. I'm trying to think of other personal brands that I really like. Jay Shetty had a great one. let's see here. We're working on Tristan's personal brand soon. I'm helping Tristan build his site and his personal brand. So he'll launch that and you guys can see what we're doing for him. But very cool. Okay, let's go into the last piece before we got to move into some Q&A is evolving virality, which is something that Don and I talked about a lot because your personal brand is a very important asset. It's like money. It's like real money to us. Like you think about choosing Kia versus Porsche. Porsche's brand as an asset is way stronger than like Kia or something like that. And you want to think about your brand and to build it to have more status, more equity than other agents, teams, brokerages around you. And it's evolving to the point where you want it to create virality, meaning you want it to be so attractive because you spent so much time on it. Like, you know, you can put time into like marketing, or you can put time into like upgrading your operations. You can spend time on your brand, your personal brand, that it evolves and gets so good that it becomes very viral and it's very attractive. For example, you know, Long, when you started Realty Group, it was probably a lot harder to like recruit an agent and show them why they should join your company. But now that you've built the virality of the brand inside of your area, your city, agents, they show up there, they feel privileged that they got to meet the founder, and then they just join because they know about the equity, they know about Realty Group, they know the brand.
So true.
So that's the fifth and final stage, is to forever evolve, improve your brand so that it gets to a point where you hit a, you know, that tipping point that it becomes more viral. And the way I look at how to get there is looking at three main areas. Number one, functionally, what are you doing as a company that's better than everyone else? And how are you in improving it? So again, looking at, you know, look at EXP. They functionally did a great job with their profit share model, which is creating a lot of virality. Or you look at Compass. They did a great job with their brand. People love the brand, but also their technology. They are one of the better companies providing technology. So whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you have a really good way at marketing high-end homes, or a really good way of helping, going back to my example, working with old people, helping them downsize, and then working with their, you know, or maybe they passed away and you're really good at working with their kids to, you know, like whatever your story is. Maybe you're really good at working with couples because you're a couple, you're a, you know, husband and wife team, and you work with couples really well because both sides of the team balance the other two couples for their, you know, something like that. The goal is to figure out functionally what you do better. Again, back to the story. The second piece is, what is the emotional attachment you're going to create that people have to your business and brand? And yours could be about success, like, and leadership. It could be about love and generations. It can be about something emotional, you know, right? I always use the example of Disneyland, who did the best job in the world creating an emotional attachment to the brand, you know, the happiest place on earth. That to me is so cool, what they've done over the last, I don't know, 100 years. Then the last piece is your social status. Again, the popularity of your brand. How popular do you have with your community and the target that you're going after, and looking for ways to build more, to win them over even more. And I'm going to stop talking. Don, what would you add to this before we go into reviewing some personal brands? Oh, you went on mute.
This whole segment today was talking about making smart media choices. So I'm going to just say this. I think that, you know, we need to stop thinking like realtors and start thinking like a media company. That's really like the big picture. Am I muted? I'm hearing that I'm muted. No, I'm good. Okay. So I think there's a big part of that, which is like, how do we elevate ourselves to think about the big picture of our business Long, that was what you were talking about, right? It's not just what do I send, what shall I post? It's not that. It's like the bigger picture, and really coming up with that. And I think that, you know, in the end, it's you know, we don't wait till we're successful to market ourselves. We become successful by marketing ourselves. We have to attract people through our marketing. It is the game today. We've got to become media companies, and there's so much availability in a gig economy. I can hire, you know, producers to do my video. I like anything I want. I can get somebody to do that without having to be massive and afford, you know, crazy stuff. And I think we've just really got to elevate ourselves. And when I look at your comments there, you know, branding a remarkable commitment, creating an extraordinary story, that to me is a big part of it. How do I really commit to the long term of my story and how it connects to the world? But I've got to have a story, and I've got to keep it consistent, and I've got to deliver it all the time. And I've got to make sure that everything comes to the filter of not, wow, what a clever idea, I should do that. Wow, what a clever idea, would that work for me? I don't see that fitting, you know? And I really want to urge people to really think about their target markets, whether it's, you know, the condo king. I remember a guy I worked with, and, you know, he had like 97% market share because so obvious what his brand was. And I think, you know, for most people, they just don't think in terms of the value of the brand. They're still looking for deals. And that's really, at an essence, that's the problem, right?
Yeah. That's so well said. So well said, Don. Okay, so let's take a moment. I actually, since we have like 10 minutes left, I'm going to do like both. Let's say open it up for people to drop in some questions that you thought about while we were sharing the 5 pillars to personal branding success. And then also, if you have a brand or a website link that you'd like us to look at, just pop it in the chat. I'll open it up, and me and Don will see, we'll kind of rate it and give you some feedback based on the 5 pillars and say, hey, I think this is where I would improve, and go from there. So
let me just say this, one thing that would be true, right? If you got James and Don on the line, and how much would we pay for consulting with either of these guys? And then it's free. So I would suggest come up with, like, you know, show us, right? It's free consultation. So let's do it.
It's a total free consultation.
Let's come up with some free.
No one volunteers. I'll be very vulnerable and share my crappy one for you guys.
Also,
what?
Long, will you mind? Because I don't want to move my screen, checking on Facebook to see if there's any comments. That way we can see if anything.
We got one right here.
We got one.
Yep. So we're going to try that one.
All right. So we got Esmeralda.
Good job, Esmeralda.
Yes. All right. Let's check it out. Dun, dun.
Hey, I posted, I talked about Allison Gaddy on Instagram. Go to AllisonGaddy.com because she's got a story that's really cool, James. You'll like her. I don't know if you've ever seen that particular website, but you'll like it. You'll start using it as one of your faves.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Okay. Let's see, Esmeralda, what you got?
Okay, you're with KW World Class. Nice. I see a logo. So, you know, one thing I shouldn't give you this feedback because a lot of people don't like this. Like, a lot of brokers don't like this. But you could, you know, move the logo to the bottom of your website and then just make your name a lot bigger, because I can't see your name at all. And so one thing to consider is to have your name.
You know, this is in California, so the laws are like, as long as it's 50% of, and I think you're right on, James. I would make that huge. Like, I'm coming to Esmeralda's site, and KW is bottom, as small as I can make it and still stay within the guidelines of the state.
Yeah. Okay. I'll say one more thing too. Second thing is, if I land on your site and I don't see, like, and this is a personal brand, like this is you selling real estate yourself, and I don't see a massive headshot of you somewhere where I know I can see your face, you're losing brand equity. Again, now the brand is more stale. There's no connection I'm making. All I made, I have a home search, which I'd rather use Zillow, and a photo of a nice house. But I would say, whoever did this website for you, tell them to put a massive headshot right on the, kind of like, look at, you know, again, looking at this one, you're going to see massive headshot of him right off the bat. Same for this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see.
And by the way, I like what you're saying, James, but I'm going to say headshot, people think in terms of like this. I don't mean headshot. I mean like a lifestyle shot.
Yeah.
Right? Something that's really got some power to it. Full form, 3/4 form, something that's unique, stands out.
It's literally, look how much of her is on the first page, you know? Again, this is not search woodlandhillshomes.com. This is your name, Esmeralda,
Right.
.com. That's why it's so important to have you on the front page to build that impression. Again, it's not hard to find someone to take photos of you that you can use. So then let's scroll down.
Let me just add one more piece to that, and that is, since I haven't seen more of your things, Esmeralda, it's hard with only one piece, but I would say make sure that the color consistency is there across all your media. When you start looking at, now what does this look like? If I went to your website or your Facebook site, for example, or your Facebook pages, or your Instagram, your Instagram, like literally, where can I see the sameness? And I would also, James, urge you to kind of maybe poke around about, and let's see what she's done with. See what she's done with the about part.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go there next. I just want to show you guys an example real quick of a great agent. A lot of you guys have heard of her, Jade Mills. So when you land on her site, you see her name, nice and big. Again, member of luxury presence. Okay, she's starting to build her brand, her story. Unparalleled global marketing. Again, starting to build her brand. Now, luxury marketing, world-class service. She's got imagery of LA, high-end LA, #1 Beverly Hills realtor. Okay, she's building her brand even more. And then, who says she's the #1 Beverly Hills realtor? You know, like she's crafting her own story is what we're saying. And then you'll see, boom, there's a massive photo of her and, the $5 billion woman. She branded herself with that name. This is now how she's creating herself in Beverly Hills. She's doing that, and then now you can learn more. So going back to Esmeralda's story, now we've got a nice headshot. I would blow that out, and then this is very. I feel like there's still no. Again, remember I talked about this, like your story. It should be like just so incredible, like a really good movie or a really good photo. Like look at this one where again she gave herself the story of a 5 billion woman, the 5 billion woman. Whatever that means, it means something that is cooler than, no offense, Esmeralda, whether you're buying or selling, my goal is to provide you with the highest standard of service. Like this could be like just copy that was pulled from some template website. But for you to spend the time to look at like, well, how are you going to position yourself? Going back to this part, she goes, "Hi, I'm Marie, entrepreneur with an unshakable, dedicated to helping you become the best person you want." I mean, I wouldn't copy her, but you could say, "Hi, I'm Esmeralda, an entrepreneur, real estate professional, an Angelino dedicated to helping you and your family live in the experience and love Los Angeles like you've never had before." And now you've got your story all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, I agree. First thing it goes to, Esmeralda, is your real estate part. Buying or selling is the first opening line, right? So I want to get to the human part before I become the realtor. And that's where I get to like you and make a decision about you. And you happen to be in real estate. Wow, I really like this woman. She's awesome.
Yeah. Another thing, I mean, these are like, I could do this all day, but like, this is a blog of someone, obviously this looks like someone wrote it for you, probably. But you can take advantage of these blogs by having a photo of yourself on each blog. You with clients, you with family, you yourself. And here's the thing, everyone, like people are shy to do that, but it is what builds personal brand equity, is everything you're in it. So you'll see in her, she's got her photo here, she's got her photo here, she's got her photo here. Everything has her photo in it because it is about her. And again, when you think about Esmeralda, it is about you because you want people to feel like you're like a local celebrity and that it's a privilege to work with you.
Hey,
Okay.
James, I want
Just
to say
time
one.
check
I want
so
to
you
say.
guys know. Just
I
time
know
check so
we're
you
at.
guys know.
Yeah. So real quickly, I want to say this one thing for everybody to hear, and that is, we have made, as a real estate agent, we have made houses the important thing, and that's just the interchangeable body parts. We are the unimportant equation, and the house is the most important. And I'm going to tell you that when you reverse that, remarkable stuff starts to happen. When it becomes your story and how people can relate to you, I think it's going to be awesome. Did I get that wrong? What did I do wrong? Take the space out and let's see it.
It's okay. Just got our Instagram.
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. Yeah, great. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, it's again, the driver for most realtors is houses, 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 houses. It's find your realtor who's going to find you the house. Find your realtor who's going to help sell your house. Find your realtor. Pick your realtor. Know your realtor. Choose your realtor. I have a realtor. I don't need one right now. I have a doctor. I'm not sick right now. But right now, most of you don't have that presence.
This is awesome. Yeah. Like, again, the quotes are part of telling her story. The photos, this color strategy she chose, this filter that she created. It looks like she created herself, her own personal filter.
When you read the stories and they're so personal and inspiring, and the stuff that she does to make that happen, it's really cool stuff. That's why I say go subscribe. You can't see it all here. All you can see is pictures, but when you go into the other from your app, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Hopefully we can squeeze in before we're done. What's a good budget for a real estate agent or a business person to dedicate and budget to personal branding?
Wow, great question. So,
yeah.
So let me give you one way of thinking about it, and it's very hard to tell long, and I'll give you the answer. It's in this way: when you're super successful, it's a smaller percentage. When you're already making big bucks, it's a smaller percentage. When you're making almost no money, guess what? The reason most small business, right? We got to keep putting the money out. We're not making it all, but we got to keep putting it out. Why? Because when we're small, we've got to really invest. So I would say that when you're newer, it might be. I mean, the good news is social media is so affordable, and so like that fixes things. But I would say look at it might be 20% of your budget. It could be 25% of your budget, and then that decreases because again, you're making $1 million a year. You're running $100,000 a year budget on your personal branding stuff and all that. I mean, I'm not talking Zillow leads, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you, right? I think that's a fair way. It's in proportion, right? It's the opposite of what you would expect.
Yeah. Think about spending even $100,000 a year or $50,000 a year on yourself. Because that's what's cool about personal branding is like you're spending it to build your own personal brand, which could lead to all kinds of things. It could lead to new business partnerships, new opportunities. Because the more you build your personal brand, the more people get who you are, your value proposition, and then want to work with you, which is really cool. It's not a waste because people are always thinking like, well, if I spend this much, how many leads will I get, which will equate to how much profit I earned. And it's like, no, like personal branding is different. It's not about the exact conversion of what I spend versus what I make. It's about building your personal reputation, the brand equity, the virality that comes with it. So that's pretty cool. I actually had a breakthrough myself of how powerful personal branding is. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I forget like what a big deal it is for yourself. But I think we're up for time. And Don and Long, do you guys want to add anything before we end it?
No, I really enjoyed getting the front row seat to listen to two awesome guys talk about personal branding. I thought I did pretty good, but I see I got a lot of holes. I got to go back and get better. So James, I might be reaching out to you, Mike and I, to help us with our personal branding.
Of course, I would help you and Mike with anything. Definitely check out, Don, you have a new program you're launching very soon, right? Around marketing.
Yeah, we're launching next month with a one-year program. It's going to be awesome for anybody who's in it. I just put a connection to My Expert Partners. And if you go there and just register there, I'm going to send everybody a marketing cheat sheet, which is going to kind of help you think through what we talked about tonight. Like what's the, where do you start with the story? What's the target you're going for? How do I, decipher those things? It's going to help you with that. About a 20 or maybe a 16-page little manual. And I think you'll really like it. So just go to myexpertpartners.com. Fill out that one form there, and it'll be to you right away. Okay.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah,
we're building a program. We're building a program, by the way. The one that you're talking about is actually a one-year program called Gateway to Mastery, and it's going to be in a lot of areas, not just marketing, but I can tell you, marketing goes across all of it because it is a marketing game.
Wow, that's awesome, Don, and I can't wait. I'll be there too because there's so much to learn with what you know and the experience you have. It's always a privilege for me to work with LabCoatAgents and create cool stuff and put cool interviews together. If you guys haven't checked out, the LCAmarketingcenter.com, that's like my big project with LabCoatAgents, where we've created there's over 500 really cool templates, marketing templates for you to use to build your personal brand. Obviously, there's the enterprise version where we can build one custom for your team and brokerage. And then, what was that last piece? Shoot. Oh yeah.
Do it, by the way, guys. Do it.
You guys have the LCA Marketing Center already. You should download the app on Apple or on Android. It's free. Try it. It's super cool that you can create all your social media on the fly everywhere you go. One thing that's nice is in the LCA Marketing Center is we give you the content ideas. So we just kind of like tell you, here, post about this, post about that. Just customize it with your personal brand and your photos. So check it out. Thanks so much.
Hey, James, our people love working through your system, and they use it all the time, and the ideas are brilliant, and it's so current and relevant. So I want to really highly recommend that. Huge.
So one last thing, takeaway before they leave, each of you tell our audience what one thing they should do right now after this, besides signing up, which I did, myexpertpartners.com. I did that right.
Gosh, I would say spend 10 hours. So 2 hours a day this next week, rewriting your bio, or even writing it like a script for a video. If you were to shoot yourself to explain to someone why they should work with you, why they should join your team, what are the reasons for anything you're trying to get them to do, spend time doing that, because that will be the foundation for you to build your brand and begin to
spend 10 hours to write your own elevator speech.
Yeah. I would say like a 3-minute speech. It would be a 3-minute speech on why. Because what will happen is you'll have all this content over 3 minutes, and you can pull snippets out and use them as your tagline, as your slogan. You can pull it out and start to use it as part of your story.
That's awesome.
Love that, James.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think the part that I would go right in there and say the same kind of thing, and that is write down 3 different niche market possibilities for you, target market possibilities. Put those down. Go through some options. What's my past life? What's the hobbies, the things that are most important to me? Family, running, whatever it is. Put those things down and come up with 3 things that are possibilities for you, and then attack what's the viability? What's the strategy for getting to them? If you can figure out what the strategy is, and you can see the marketplace is there. And if you need help, reach out and let us know how we can support you. But I'm telling you, you've got to get to making some decisions about what your target market is. And if you'll give yourself 3 options, one of them is going to really pop for you. But you got to think, you got to go out there and really get some ideas going. It's going to take some time. 10 hours, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it. Love working with you guys.
Yeah.
So
all right,
fun,
guys.
James.
Take care,
Long,
everyone.
be
Thank
good.
you, Long, for joining us, co-hosting. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys.
Bye.